Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining SheTek at our 30th outlet from Answers to Action. We're going to be starting up in just a moment. Okay, well, it's so amazing to see where all these people are coming from the Philippines, from California, from all over the world. And this is wonderful. Thank you all so much for joining us. This is, as I said, the 30th outlet from SheTek, from Answers to Action. I just have a few quick little housekeeping notes to go over, and then we'll kick it right off. And also, just so you know that this is being recorded, and all the recordings and all the information are property of SheTek. We'll be sharing that information after the event. And so right now, I'm going to kick it off and hand everything over to Chaya Pamela. Chaya is our SheTek founder and CEO. She is also the founder and CEO of Pam10, as well as Sofkin. And Chaya, over to you.
Thank you, Joanne. Good morning, everybody. I would like to welcome everyone. I think it's good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Even some people, it's late evening, because in our last webinar, we've had representation from over 20 countries. So it's very hard for us to specifically wish for one region. So thank you for joining us today. And we are really excited about today's topic, specifically because what is happening in this world, right? Technology is moving at such a faster pace. And at SheTek, our mission has always been to empower women and girls to thrive with technology and to prepare them for the future of work. So technology, the way it is moving, is so fast than ever before. And new breakthroughs like we have heard it as more like a buzzword, but they're actually reshaping our businesses, communities, and even individuals, how they operate. So the reason we are introducing Agentic AI in this webinar is we believe that women should not only participate in the technology revolution, but also lead it. By saying women, it doesn't mean that we're shutting doors for men. I always say that we are open for men to participate as well. And Agentic AI in particular is a game changer. So you will hear a lot of interesting case studies and discussions from our speakers today. Here is the key. Innovation without inclusion creates gaps, right? So if women and underrepresented groups are not part of this conversation, then the future will be built without their voices. And I encourage every woman who is listening to this today to upgrade their skills and really be out there and make your voice heard and try to pace up with the technology than being intimidated by technology. So that being said, we have this exciting thing coming up. So I don't want to take away too much time. I would like to introduce our speakers, today's speakers. I would like to invite Chitra Dorai and Kranthi to turn their cameras on. And most of you already know Chitra is ex-IBM fellow and has been in the AI revolution probably for over 30 years, Chitra. And from the time the concept has been introduced to really creating encouraging solutions, and Chitra is the founder and CEO of Amicus Brain. And her bio is also on our website. You can see that Chitra has done a fabulous amount of work in the healthcare industry. Amicus Brain is focused on providing solutions for dementia care. And Chitra has really been part of this entire AI journey for years. And she brings tremendous amount of experience and knowledge to the table. And under Chitra's leadership, we have two young, evolving, experienced AI professionals. So one is we works in Amicus Brain, and she's also very impressed to see that Vaishnavi is profiled as a Best Student Award. She's also very passionate about creating, architecting solutions, and has been now involved in Python programming, and she's been an integral part of Amicus Brain. And we have Kranthi, who is the electronic arts, and he works in electronic arts as an architect, and he's been solution architecting for a very long time. And Kranthi genuinely has a passion for AI, and he's learned on his own. He learned a lot of things in the AI space, and he's actually practically utilizing agents. And he's also does a lot of integrates AI tools in his daily life as he's developing solutions. So Kranthi brings his own experience onto the table as well. So we are really excited. I welcome Chitra, Vaishnavi, and Kranthi. So please stay tuned and listen to this and ask any questions you may have in the end. Also, you can type in the chat box. And over to Chitra. Thank you.
Thank you, Chaya. Good day, everyone. Wherever you might be today at this moment, thank you all for being here, sharing this time with us. I'm delighted to have Vaishnavi and Kranthi doing this webinar with me. On behalf of all three of us, I want to first start with the no conflict statement. So the three of us are doing this as a volunteers, and we thank our organizations for the flexibility to be here with you all today. And there is no monetary or compensation of any kind to any of us for doing this presentation. Our goal is to share the excitement that we have in developing agentic AI solutions as part of our personal work as well as part of our professional work today. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen and set the context. This is going to be very interactive. AI is all about doing. So I know that many of you, or all of you, almost all of you, are using conversational AI to answer many of your questions as part of your daily life, as part of your professional life. I'm going to take a very few minutes in the early part to set the stage in terms of what is agentic AI, and then hand over to Vaishnavi, and she's actually going to share her screen, and we will see the agentic AI in action, followed by Kranthi. All right. So the roadmap is a quick intro, and as you get to know what agentic AI is or AI agents, you will also hear this terminology about AI, agentic AI design patterns. So all of us should walk away from this webinar, from this introductory seminar, what those AI design patterns are. And I'm going to show you a quick architecture diagram of how the system looks, and we'll get right into some of the agentic AI solutions in healthcare industry as well as in marketing research company. And I've also added a couple of pages of additional resources for you too. I looked at each and every one of them and selected with a little bit of intention and purpose. So we'll go through that towards the end as time permits. All right. So how many of you are using any of the conversational AI services that you have to do your road trip planning or travel planning? Share away on this, put your thoughts on that. So if you're doing that, or if you have you've written prompts to help you generate the report in the context of your work or in context of some of the school assignments, you have been using an AI agent. So AI agents are autonomous systems. So systems that can plan with a series of steps what should happen, reason about what information needs to be extracted from each of those steps, and how the information needs to flow from one step to another, and adapt based on users' input and preferences. And if needed, they also interact tools, external tools, environments, and other agents. So it looks a little bit abstract at this point in time. So we will make it real. So if you have done any kind of travel planning, let's say you don't want to think through all the steps of you're going to a new place and you want to know how to get there. What's the most efficient, time-saving, or economical way to get there? And what are the things to do and so on? So rather than you and I plan out the steps, so we can ask the AI to say, I intend to. You write in natural language, you plan to go to Bali. And how should I plan this trip to have the maximum fun? So the AI is going to walk you through what you need to do first, then the next step, and so on. So that's a clear example of an AI agent in action. So the agentic AI is a formal name for such systems helping us in all purposes. Okay. And the large language model is at the core of it because the user question or the user input is coming in plain language. I'm not sure whether you guys have worked on robotic process automation. This was huge in the late 2000, early 2010. I myself built many of these robotic process systems. So often I get asked about this. So some of you, if you don't know about this, we can park this question towards the end and I can come back to this. But robotic process, so people often do jobs which is called swivel chair automation. You look at the left on one screen and you have to take information from one UI and then you have to put it in another UI on this. So that used to be called swivel chair automation, which humans used to do. And we built systems where systems would automatically copy the information in a form from Google Doc to a PowerPoint presentation, say. So that's an example of a robotic process automation. Clearly, agentic AI is an evolution of that technology that existed that was very popular a decade ago. But there are some key differences which we can talk about. Likewise, I often get asked about, okay, we have embedded AI before, and what is the difference? I myself built during the 2008 housing crisis. My team and I built a number of AI workflows. For example, we were working on our operations worked on some 500,000 home loans on a daily basis. So we needed to know which of the, let's say, 10,000 homeowners who are not likely to pay that day, given that they have not paid until now their monthly payment to keep their home payments current. And so I built a machine learning model to assess or predict. It's a predictive model which would analyze all the 500,000 loans and predict which are the highest, which 10,000 homeowners are unlikely to make their payment for a variety of reasons. And that machine learning model output was automatically fed into an Avaya dialer, and which would start automatically calling them. So you can see how an AI machine learning algorithm was embedded into a typical workflow, eliminating much of the human work that was involved in it. The difference being from that kind of traditional workflow to what we are talking about in terms of agentic AI is typically those used to be, as I say in the left side of this picture, it's input, which is the data about the borrowers in the example I mentioned. And then there was a model running, and the model output was either rendered to the users who would take an action on behalf based on the output generated by the AI model, or in the example I cited, it went directly to controlling the phone dialer. And often it used to be single step. In agentic workflow, you're going to see some of the examples we are going to show. It is multi-step. So when you think of agentic AI, it's important to remember, I would say, 3 characteristics, right? Natural language or plain language input. So the instructions are given in the language you and I speak. And secondly, it's often the AI agent works on a multi-step task, or it breaks down the complex task into multiple steps and it works on them. And it is able to connect to an external system. In the example I mentioned, you can see, even though I built this system in, I'll tell you, at the height of this crisis. So we are talking 2010, 2011. I was already on the road to agentic AI. We just didn't call it agentic AI, but you could see in the dialer example, the machine learning output was already controlling an external system. That happens, and that's an integral part of an agentic AI system, right? And the additional interesting thing in the agentic AI system is it's able to evaluate the accuracy, the safety of the information it's providing. So we are going to see an example. So if you have prompted any existing AI service provider to build your own agent, please put them on the chat. Towards the end, it would be nice to learn about what you have built and how some of the patterns we are going to talk about relate to what you have done. Okay, so the design patterns are important. Why are they important? Think of them as building blocks to build an agentic AI system. Okay, so knowing that you are given the task of a complex task and knowing that these design patterns exist, it gives you the language or a conceptual framework to think about your problem in terms of how you might want to prompt the AI to build itself in terms of using these patterns. So it's an archetype. Think of an architect uses a blueprint to use the commonly available patterns to build a very robust, high-functioning system. Agentic AI solutions are built on these foundations. So reflection is very important. We are going to show, and Vaishnavi is going to walk you through an example. And then how are we doing on time? It is all about having an AI prompt reflect the accuracy or the safety of the information it has generated and iteratively fix in order to meet the instructions 100% in a reliable fashion. tool use, if you have an AI that interacts with a database outside, or it launches a search on your behalf based on your query, that is external tool integration. Planning, suppose I tell the AI, hey, my boss asked me to generate a market trend report on agentic AI systems in healthcare, and I want the AI to automatically break down that task into steps. And for each step, what should be the subtask and sub goals, and what each step might take. That is the planning exercise, planning pattern. And when you have planning, when you have multiple steps, obviously you can optimize each step by having a distinctive AI agent, each one carrying out these operations. And these operations can happen in parallel. Some of them can be or sequential because they are dependent on information that the previous AI agent may provide. So there is a whole pattern of multi-agent orchestration, sequentiality, parallelism, and so on. And you can describe that using LangChain like framework to connect these independently acting agents to work together in concert. I've seen recently fifth pattern, which is think of it as a combination pattern, which is called reason and act, which is a combination of reflection and interaction with an external system. There is a lovely book I found with nice pictures, and it's an illustrated cookbook. If you go to dailydoseofds.com, you'll be able to download that. This is in no way a product endorsement of any kind. I found the book very useful for especially starters. Okay, so how does it look when you build a solution, for example? So Kranthi is actually towards the end, he's going to walk you through an entire system like this. But pictorially, this is how it should. You have to think in terms of building. If you are going to attempt to build an AI agent for your need, so the user question comes in natural language, so it's conversational, and you might the task might be so complex. We don't need to break them down into steps ourselves. You can ask the AI to plan out the steps for you. That's what step. And that's using the planning pattern. And then while executing these steps, you may need to do a web search, or you may need to access an enterprise database in order to get a bunch of data about the users you're trying to interact with and so on. What tools you need to select, you can have the AI itself do that based on the task description. And once you have the results, then you want to introduce this reflection pattern to make sure you're getting right answers reliably. I'm going to let Vaishnavi describe the importance of this reflection pattern. To net it out, it is important given large language models are stochastic in nature, which is what makes them interesting in a way, because you get different answers every time you change the query, or even if you run your query multiple times. Sometimes the need is that they perform reliably, consistently, and reflection often gets used in enforcing that. And then you get a response. So now let's go into the hands-on demonstration. So Vaishnavi is going to now share her screen and walk you through both reflection and an example of a tool use. So let me stop sharing. And Joanne, before we hand over to Vaishnavi, is there any critical questions so far?
So far, no. Over to you, Vaishnavi.
Thank you, Joanne. Thank you, Chitra. Again. In the interest of time, let me directly jump to the topic. So I'm taking you all to the Google AI Studio. I'm sharing my screen. So are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Chitra. So this is the Google AI Studio. So here on this studio, for this demo, I'm using Google AI. So you can use any AI platform of your choice. So on this studio, I'm trying to build an AI agent that can summarize a message. So this message can be a text message that Chitra sends me, or a message from my colleague on WhatsApp, or it can also be an email received in my work account. And also this message needn't necessarily be a very simple text. It could have some media attachments like images, audios, videos, documents, and etc. So I want to build this AI agent to summarize this for me, so that once it gives a summary, I can quickly prioritize which messages should I respond to. You might have done this. You might have asked AI for a summary of a very large document or anything. But what do we normally write when we ask for a summarization? We just write, summarize this for me. But as you see, my prompt has more details to it, because I give precise instructions so that I get my response in the desired format. So what you can see is in this part, you can see I'm asking the agent to generate a summary, but I've included something called media understanding. Media understanding is nothing but basically a description or summarization of all the media attachments given in the message. So what I have observed is while running this prompt, I've run this many a times, and I see AI actually gives the response very inconsistently. At times it skips the media portion, or at times it actually prints both the summary and the media understanding separately, doesn't give me a cohesive summary. It does mistakes at times. So that's where this reflection pattern comes in. So I've actually introduced the reflection pattern over here so that what the AI agent can do is it can criticize its own work, rework on it, and give me the output in the desired format. So as you can see, the reflection portion over here, it basically says the AI to review its own summary, check if the summary adheres to all the instructions that I've mentioned above, and if not, rework on the summary that it generated. We can try an example. Let's say we attach a media item, for example. So basically, let's say I'm going to attach a media and then I'm going to paste the message. It's from Alice to Sarah, and where Alice describes about her trip to India. So it's a very long message. So if you can see, Alice has given a very detailed description about her trip to India, and then she's attached a pic of the Indian trip. So let's see how the AI generates a summary of this. See, as you see the summary, it's done a pretty decent job. So this is actually because I've included reflection in this summary. And we can we add another instruction to the summary saying, I don't want a very long summary, but I keep it precise to 30 words. Let's say summary should not exceed 30 words. And let's rerun this again. Yeah. So if you see again, it has made it a little shorter, but it's not that obvious. So might be let's make it 20 words now. See, listened to it very strictly because I've included the reflection pattern. But without this reflection pattern, it kept giving mistakes at times and it was not really very reliable. So for this demo, I've kept this reflection portion very simple. So now anyone from the audience, you want to improvise on this reflection pattern so that we could just put it in and see how our agent responds to the enhancement? Any suggestions from the audience?
Anybody? So what Vaishnavi has done this is the AI is doing self-checking, right? So it's reflecting on its own output and making sure whatever output it is going to produce after reflection strictly adheres to Vaishnavi's prompt. So what reflective element can we add? Remember, this is a message summary. Any shout out from the audience? There you go, Vaishnavi. So she's saying, one of them, Jeremy is saying, can you make it more about the emotion? So could we actually have a sentence in the reflection saying, Vaishnavi, make sure the emotion of the incoming, whatever the, right? Make sure.
I think, Chitra, we have to add it here in the instructions above.
Okay. Yeah.
That-
and then you can write. Yeah.
So I've already included a direct and friendly tone.
Lots of great suggestions. The Soma's input is about not miss. Absolutely. So you probably have experience when you're, whatever AI you are using, when you're prompting, and if you've been curious enough to run the same prompt to see what it does, you might have noticed that time to time from 1 to 3 or 3 to 5 rounds, the answer is not the same. And sometimes it hallucinates. And sometimes the safeguards might not be strictly adhered to. So that's where this reflection comes in very handy to enforce that.
Yeah,
Make sure the emotional tone of a message is captured in the summary. The message is captured in the summary.
Let's rerun this again. It says Alice had an incredible and unforgettable trip, visiting places, and yeah, then also about the Hawa Mahal picture.
So definitely it got me excited because I see in the message, Alice's message, last paragraph had, I have so many stories to tell you about 1,000,000 for That's definitely Alice is excited about her trip, one can imagine, and the summary appropriately reflects that. Okay. So Vaishnavi, shall we move on to the next, which is a little bit more complex in terms of the external tool use?
Yeah, sure. So we'll move on to the next topic, which is RAG, which is basically retrieval augmented generation, which is actually very useful if you want to actually control the knowledge sources used by AI agent. For this, I'm using the Vertex AI Studio. Again, it's provided by the Google Cloud platform. Again, here you can use any OpenAI, ChatGPT AI. You can use any AI platform you want. So for our demo purpose, I've taken the mortgage use case. So I actually have two documents. So if you see on my screen, I have this Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae guide. So these provide home loan regulations. So basically, I want my AI agent to fetch answers to my questions only from these two documents. So I'll show you how we can do this on the Vertex AI Studio platform. To do this, you have to first create a RAG engine, which is basically over here. So while creating a RAG engine, you have to create a RAG corpus. So let's give it a name. Let's say mortgage guidelines. Then it'll ask you like where you want to import your data source. That's the knowledge base from. So now I have it on my Google Drive. So I can select from Google Drive. Then it'll ask for the Google Drive path. So let me browse. One sec, I'll refresh my page. So if you see, it's showing all the folders on my Google Drive. So I'm selecting the mortgage guides. Now I'll just click on continue. So this advanced option is actually like adding the chunking strategy. So on a high level, I can give you an idea what chunking is. So basically what happens is when you upload documents or import files, it breaks the documents into text chunks and it converts those text chunks into vector embeddings and it puts these vector embeddings into a vector store. Basically, this is to prepare the data in such a way the AI can easily and quickly fetch the relevant sections when it wants to generate an answer for your question. So that's a very high level picture of chunking and vector generations. So it's asking me to choose a embedding model that is for generating the vector embeddings. So yeah, Google gives a suggestion saying that this is best for overall languages. So we'll just go with the default value. And then it's asking me to choose a vector store. So this is just for the demo purpose. We can go for a quick start. So I'm selecting this vector store. Then we can create a corpus. So actually this takes some time. So in order to save time, I've already created a RAG engine. If you can see, I just created a RAG engine with these two files, the same files, Fannie Mae guide and Freddie Mac guide. It's called the KB, the RAG engine. So now let's see how we can connect this to our Vector AI Studio. Okay, this is our Vector AI Studio. And if you want to connect your AI agent to your own database or knowledge base, you have to click on this option, which is grounding to your own data. So click on this option. When you click, it'll give you a couple of choices. There we have to select RAG engine. And in that RAG engine, we have to select the RAG engine that we created. So this mortgage, it's showing the name, but it's still in process because it'll take around 5 to 10 minutes to get trained and deployed. So we'll select this KB, which I already created for the demo. And then I will just click on save. So now our AI agent is grounded to our RAG engine. Now we could ask any questions that we want. Let me say, I need a federal housing loan. What the steps? And here you can select the Gemini model. Usually 2.5 Flash is quicker, but with my experience, I would say 2.4 is more reliable when it comes to generation of answers and everything. So I switched it to 2.5 Pro. So we've got our answer. So it's given based on the provided documents. Here are some requirements, and it's given in detail what are it. And also it's given us references to the file. So if you click on this, it will show you the grounding sources. So what was the relevant text it fetched from the files that we gave in order to generate this particular sentence in the answer. So it gives all the grounding sources. And here, if you see, it shows you the file names from which it fetched the answer. So do you want to try any other question on this? Any suggestions based on home loan?
Is anyone in the market for a home loan? And they want to know. Oh, how about can you try? I do not have a great credit score. Which loan will be applicable? So that's often a question I have seen in many of the conversations. So while Vaishnavi is typing, and this is an important pattern, this retrieval augmented generation is not only an example of the tool use, it also makes the AI, many of the enterprise use cases be more receptive to using AI because no longer the LLM is relying on the information, the World Wide Web, internet data, that you're really controlling the underlying language model to fetch answers only from the your sources, what you trust as sources. And we use that a lot. And I have consulted on many different use cases which require this pattern again and again. Yeah, back to you, Vaishnavi.
So yeah, it says the minimum credit score required is 620. Yeah, that's what it's given.
Okay, so it is, but it gave you the guide also. And I know you even asked it to output which page and so on.
Yeah. So yeah, this is where it gives the reference.
Very good. Anything else, Vaishnavi?
No, Chitra. I think there are a couple of questions in the chat.
Yeah. Shall we take them on? Give Kranthi a bit of time on planning and then we'll answer them all together. Is there anything that is pertaining, Joanne, relevant to both reflection and the retrieval augmented generation?
There were a couple of questions, which I can tell you now, and you can decide if you want to answer them now or come back to them. One person did ask, can you query for the loan with the lowest interest rate? And someone else did ask, how do you add a reflection pattern here?
Okay. So this is where, right, the human ingenuity comes in. We could try it out towards the end, whether the AI would automatically plan. Because you're doing this trusted thing, you may not want to add that. If your reflection, depending on what the purpose of the reflection is. If the purpose of the reflection is about accuracy, you may not want to add because you already know your sources are trusted. You train the RAG engine with the documents you had selected. But you might want to reflect on the size of the length of the answer. You might say, do not give me answer no more than 200 words. And then it ignores and gives you 250 words. And you're going to copy paste this answer into a form which strictly only allows 200 words, then you might want to add the reflection so that the AI can iterate on it, right? It can analyze its answer that it exceeds and then come back to you with this. So that might be another one, use of reflection pattern in this context. Okay. So we'll do can you query, Vaishnavi, query that and let's get Kranthi going. And then towards the end, you can show whether that question got answer from these documents.
Gotcha.
All right. Over to you, Kranthi.
Yeah, thanks, Chitra and Vaishnavi. Hello, all. I am really excited to be here with you today to share some real world use cases of Agentic AI, one of the most exciting shifts happening in technology right now. So, I built one application to demonstrate the planning agent pattern. So, here is the sample application. So, before I explain what this application does, let's imagine the scenario. My manager asks me to explore whether there's a new business opportunity for us to launch a food delivery app in India. The first step, of course, is research. Traditionally, this would take weeks or even months, forming a team of analysts, gathering data, comparing reports, and finally preparing insights. And sometimes we don't even know where to start. But now with Agentic AI, we can jumpstart this process in minutes. So I just gave this prompt where I'm asking, like I built a group of agents to do research on food delivery app in India. Let me start my research. So as the research is in progress, you can see on the UI, we have 5 agents here. One is the research agent, then like a planner agent. The planning is the important thing here. The planning agent, then researcher, analyzer, writer agent, and reviewer agent. Let me quickly demonstrate how actually planning looks like. So for planning, the agent is making use of OpenAI LLM for reasoning so that it can create a detailed plan. Let me go to GPT and show you what it looks like. The same prompt, what I entered in the custom application that I built. So when I give this prompt for ChatGPT to do research on food delivery app in India, so it gave me a detailed breakdown, like the goal and the task that I need to do to conclude this research on food delivery app. Then what it takes for me to build the insights and the reports, everything, right? The detailed plan. So what we are doing here is the 5 agents that we have here. I see my planner agent completed. So the planner agent goes to LLM and gives this prompt and it gets the detailed plan. And this plan is given as an input to my second agent, research agent. And this research agent can be supplemented with any tool. Let's say the planner agent is giving one of the plan is understand the top leaders in this market. Or so all those details, it goes to internet. Internet can be one tool here and it gathers all the data and that raw data can be given as an input to another agent, let's say analyzer agent. And to this agent in the back end, I instructed to create a SWOT analysis. What are the strengths, opportunities, weakness, and threats so that I can create a better report. Then I also want that report to be created in a specific format so that I can present it to my manager. So I need like a tabular format, like I need a SWOT as a separate section, strength, weakness, opportunities, threats. So an instruction to writer agent to draft report accordingly. And then comes the last agent, reviewer agent, whose job is to review the finally generated content to make sure when we are using this OpenAI for reasoning and all, it's not hallucinating, it's generated as per my research topic. So these are the 5 agents. I see it's 180 seconds. Second agent is in progress. It will take some time. So here is the sequence, like planning phase is done. We are making use of OpenAI in the backend. Again, so what LLM to use is our choice. Here we are using OpenAI, but we can also switch to some other LLMs like Anthropic Cloud and all to work on this planning use case. While this is happening, let's see. Yeah. So yeah, it takes actually around 5 to 6 minutes for all of my agents to complete because it has to use the tool to go to internet, crawl through and get all the raw data and then prepare insights. So let me show you the report which I already completed before this session. The same prompt given and all my 5 agents completed. And here is the report it generated, the key findings. And so this research objectives and scope, right? So this is defined by my planner agent by making use of LLM. I didn't give all this input in my prompt. So it identified and it also gave a couple of questions to my research agent. What's the current market size? What are the key growth driven? All those things are planned by planner agent. And this is given as an input to research agent, and research agent goes to internet, get all the data, and then finally prepares a nice report. So let me show you the key part here. Because I am interested to give SWOT analysis to my manager. Like I would like to tell what are the strengths of this new business idea that we are thinking about to launch a food delivery app in India. What are the strengths? I see the market opportunity. We can leverage, weakness, opportunities, threats. Yeah, so this is the report, and let me see if this agency. I see the research is completed now. Analyzer agent is in progress. So traditionally, this would take weeks or months, right? But now with this group of agents, I was able to complete the research within 5 to 6 minutes. Actually, if you take a look at my prompt, whatever details I provided is very minimum. But if you see the detailed key report that it generated, from where it got to know the Swiggy, Zomato, and all, is that planner agent gave the set of tasks to my research agent that it has to get all the top leaders in this market. Like then my research agent got to know when it went to internet, yes, it's Swiggy and Zomato. Then it can also go to internet to understand what is the market captured by Swiggy and Zomato. So all that can be done by research agent with the tool called internet search. And so this is the real shift. Like we are moving from writing like detailed prompt ourselves to letting agents write prompts for us, agents planning the detailed task for us, executing them and delivering outcome at speed. So that's the power of agentic AI. Yeah. So as I said, like where my agents are getting this intelligence is like I am making use of OpenAI, and it's up to us to use Anthropic, Gemini, or like whatever LLMs available in the market. But for this demo, I have chosen OpenAI as the brain behind the agent. Yeah. So I see my analyzer completed, which means the SWOT now we have the strength, weakness, opportunities, threats report available. My writer agent is writing the way that I wanted this report to be. And I think reviewer will take another 10 or 20 seconds to generate the report. Yeah, I see it's done. So it's a key findings, research methodologies and scope. This is the input given by my planner agent and all. I think, yeah, I already shown all these things. But yeah, how much time it took for me to complete this report is like around 5 minutes. Yeah, that's all about the planning agent that I wanted to showcase here. Thank you all.
Thank you, Kranthi. So let me come on video. And we have about 10 minutes, but I do want to share this further reading with a little bit of editorial comments. Let's see, my screen is shared. Okay. In case somebody dozed off, what did we do? But over the last 30 minutes, we actually went through in a live environment, Google Gemini AI, Google Vertex AI, and Kranthi, did you use OpenAI or Anthropic? Where did you land?
OpenAI.
OpenAI. So different AI systems, and we demonstrated the power of these patterns in different use case settings. All right. So I have gone through this tons of material. There's a ton of material on everywhere. So I picked a few that that is germane to our today's presentation, but it's just going to set you on a continued journey of continued learning. So remember, we talked about RAG, or a tool use, which is all about connecting an AI to connecting an AI to an external web search or another tool or a databases. So this first is this AI agent. It's a Coursera unit. You can actually see how you can connect to an external SQL databases and extract data, summarize, do all the fun stuff. And your prompts are all in natural language. You don't have to know SQL in order to get what you want. And likewise, the other way, you have unstructured text blocks, and you want to extract. For example, here is a real use case. Email conversation. Vaishnavi and I are working on something where email conversations are being exchanged. We are very sensitive to that, warning people that they should not send their social security numbers, personally identifiable information in the emails, probably trusted contact. We are interested in extracting, I'm going to call that structured data, right? The data that looks like a social security, possibly, and a birth date and so on. So that's a different kind of an agent. And this one, Vaishnavi demonstrated, but she used for the demo, in the interest of time and speed, but she showed 2 documents, but you can imagine it could very well have been 2,000, 2 million documents in that RAG engine. So probably now you're seeing there's a lot of vendors, pharma companies putting out their own chat GPT or ask me anything, conversational AI that would answer questions about the drugs and the interactions and so on, treatment. So those are all trained on trusted, their internally controlled data sources. Next, this one I thought you'd be interested in. We didn't have the time to do multi-agent. Should there be interest, I think Joanne is going to assess the interest in having much more extended session and bootcamp around this topic. So we can delve right into that during that time. So there is a framework called LangChain, which is all about how do you chain independently working AI agents to accomplish a much bigger purpose. So LangChain and LangChain expression language, just like HTML markup language, to specify the connectivity between these agents. Those are, I think, also an important reading going forward. Okay, so we can move on to question and answer at this time.
We did have one question that wanted to know about how you bring those 5 tools that Kranthi used together. I don't know if that's something we can go into now or that's for the future workshop we might do.
Kranthi, you want to just hit the highlights of that?
Yeah, so I have used agents like Python coding in the backend to write the agent and make OpenAI as an LLM. And then tool is I'm using OpenAI web search as a tool. So the first agent generated output is given as an input to the second agent. And this second agent, that is called research agent, will prepare question which it has to go to web by using this OpenAI web search tool to crawl to the internet and get the response. So yeah, that's all the coding part. I haven't shown that part because I'm not sure if the audience are interested to look at the technical coding stuff and all. But yeah, it works with this.
But you might want to come off camera, Vaishnavi, too. Let me take that one step more, generalize it. Think of an AI agent specification as an input and the task it must do, and then the interface logic and the handoff logic. So if you specify, okay, I am an AI agent, my input depends on what Kranthi AI agent is going to provide. So therefore, we need to have a handoff logic. I need to expect the output he is going to provide. Is he going to give me a CSV file? Or is he going to give me an unstructured text block? Or is he going to send me an image? And so on. So there is so you set up that handoff log for the communication or exchange of information. And then my task, what do I need to do on the information input I am getting? And once I perform my task, and how do I prepare it for the next one? And here I gave a sequential example, Kranthi agent talking to Chitra agent. But Vaishnavi agent, in the meantime, could be performing, Kranthi and Vaishnavi might be performing a different task, and agent might want both in order to synthesize both those inputs together. So think of every agent as a role and a handoff logic for exchange of both input output, and a common understanding of what that is going to be, the task it should perform. Okay, back to you.
We do have a question about how you would use AI agents to build an AI strategy that aligns with your business strategy.
Good question. You should try.
There's a lot of strategy in there.
If I were you, I would just immediately put in the tool and then say. So it will ask you, I would imagine, having the system, it is going to ask you to tell the business strategy. Hopefully, you don't want to put if you're working for a corporation, you do not want to reveal your business strategy unless it is public information. You want to be sensitive to your organization's confidentiality and so on. And you will have to specify what is the AI strategy? Is it an implementation strategy? Is it a roadmap? And so on. That reflection pattern will come in handy so that you will add that reflective element so that if the question is very ambiguous, in order to refine it, to give it more precision in its output.
We do have one other question that I would like to get to, but before we do, I wanted to pop up a quick poll. How many of those of you that are attending would be interested in having an Agentic AI boot camp? This is a more broad, covering more of the topics that we've discussed here, more in detail, and giving you some of that behind the scenes look that we really didn't get to go into here. I just gave you an overview. So it looks like a lot of you would be interested. Some of you, I guess it depends on when we have these. That'll be a question for the email that goes out after the event. What would be good timings for you? Give it one more moment. Everybody voted? It looks like it's something that we're going to be looking into for everybody. And we'll definitely look into that and get it out, the information out to you so that you can follow up with us. We did have one more question that I think you might find interesting is when will those of us without programming experience be able to build agentic AI workflows?
Just like you may remember model-based programming, if you had looked at it in your college years. So more and more tools are coming. LangChain is an excellent step forward in terms of not having to write everything in Python, but these AI, there is a marketplace for AI agents, just a ton of them. So you should be able to pop in by a HTML link to them, URI, universal resource identifier, that you want Chitra agent right here, and then talking to just the way I said it. So think of this almost like a canvas where you'll be able to put these AI agents and then connect them up in the fashion you need in order to achieve your goal. So that day is not too far away.
I think that's about it for the questions, although there are lots of, I'm sure, specific questions. I know somebody was asking about, Kranthi, how you built everything and those details. That's something we're just going to have to save for the workshop. I want to thank you all so much for participating. Chaya, did you want to say any words before I do the final wrap up?
Joanne, may I suggest? Yeah, I think I would encourage all of you to become part of the SheTek community.
There you go.
And everyone has plans for these questions for you to pop up, and we are all part of it. So as and when time permits, we can chime in and everybody benefits. I know there were amazing questions about sentiment and so on. I was having fun tricking AI, giving a very ambiguous statement. Guess what I felt when I saw my son? There's nothing positive, negative about it, right? Guess what the AI did. You guys should try it out. Anyway, so back to you, Chaya.
No, thanks, Chitra, and also Vaishnavi and Kranthi. Great session. I know it's such a deep topic, right? It's not enough. 1 hour is not enough to really discuss this, but really you gave a good context and the foundation to this. And our next bootcamp should really help, the workshop should really help people to understand this much further. But it's been extremely helpful. Thank you. And Chitra, you've been on the board and you've been a great promoter of SheTek. And I really appreciate your time. And you've been so active. And your active participation in many of our webinars and really bringing everyone up to speed. You're the ambassador. So thank you so much for everything that you do.
Thank you. I love sharing so that everyone is.
Yeah, and Chitra said join our community. You
Yes.
will not miss even a single session.
Yeah. And thank you, Kranthi and Vaishnavi, for making this so much fun. I could have done the whole thing with PowerPoints or not for no PowerPoints, but Vaishnavi and Kranthi showing it. So no one, all of you should just go to your favorite. We don't have any particular AI provider. In the interest of neutrality, we won't make such recommendation. Whatever is your favorite is the right. Where you, with the one you're comfortable with, go ahead and go try it. Try doing any of these patterns that you guys have. So thank you again, Joanne, for organizing this. Thank you all for being here. Bye.
Thank you all. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And you'll be hearing from us soon.